That's not a problem. Okay, and you are now live.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us again on our FBS Chat. Today we have the lovely Tara Gretton from the lovely city of Bath. We've just completed some training with Tara, and it was really, really brilliant. So we're really pleased to have you. So Tara, what I always ask the practitioners who come on, how did you first come across the solution-focused approach? And when did you fall in love with it?
Well, I did a social work degree here in Bath in 2001. And one of my main motivations to want to do social work was to work with young people. And I had this real sort of desire and passion for empowerment and justice and fairness for young people. So I decided to do social work. And during my social work degree, I was introduced to the solution-focused approach. And the lovely Rob Black, solution-focused practitioner, he came to do a seminar about it. So that was my first introduction, and it just really fitted with my value base. And for my first social work placement, I worked with a user-led organisation called People First in Swindon, which is an organisation that is run for and by adults with learning difficulties. So that was my first experience of working in that environment, where it was really run and by the users, and who had such a strong sense of user empowerment. And they taught me so much. And from that, I was like, wow, this is it. This is my value base. This is what I've been looking for. And that, coupled with the solution-focused approach, it just all made perfect sense. So, yeah, in my early sort of social work career, I continued to use it, to apply it to my practice, but never sort of wasn't necessarily using it in its purest sense.
Yeah.
But really wanted to. And then I stumbled across this service in Bath called the 117 Project, where Rob Black happened to work. And this was sort of some years later. And I found out that it was purely solution focused. And it was working with young people and families to reduce the number of children and young people coming into the care system. And I was just, I have to work there. I just have to, this is like my dream job, work in a solution-focused team. And so I kind of basically hounded the manager for time and have you got any jobs? When's the job coming up? And then somebody went on maternity leave, and that was my inroad. That was my opportunity. And in that time, I learned more and more about the solution-focused approach. And then when I did manage to get in there and start working there, I had lots of training. And it was just, I think that was the opportunity for me to really feel like I'd arrived in the right place, and that the opportunity to to fully fall in love with it. And the job, the team, the way that it worked, the difference that it made, it just made so much sense. And it really giving opportunity to young people to have a voice, as well as families. And to see in that sort of family setting where you bring people together to be able to know what they all want, and to notice the opportunity to talk through what's worked in the past, what their strengths are, and to hear them say that they haven't had opportunity to have conversations like that before, or I haven't heard my child ever say anything like that before, and see those changes and those possibilities, and how empowering it was to them, and it did what it was meant to do. It did reduce the number of children coming into the care system. So it was really there that I just haven't kind of looked back from that moment, really.
Yeah.
And sadly these things do, the things were restructured, and that team, even though it was so effective, started to expand. And we there were very lucky as social workers, we weren't doing assessments, so then they said that we needed to move into the duty team and start doing assessments. So I just decided, right, I'm getting out of social services and I'm going to set up on my own. And that was also through that job, I got to work in a lot of local schools, a lot of one-to-one work as well as the family work. And what I really noticed was that actually we need to be having these solution-focused conversations much sooner. We need to be having them earlier. And actually that has now evolved to being, we need to be having these conversations all of the time, not just earlier with children and young people. But at that time, it was, going in as a social worker, it was at that sort of crisis point, and when families met a threshold. And I felt very strongly if we were having these conversations much earlier, then we would be preventing that. So yeah, that's when I decided to, much to my husband's horror, just give up on my own. Yeah. And so I decided to set up on my own. And
for anyone listening, sorry Tara, for anyone listening, why is it so empowering, do you think, for clients, this way of working, this way of questioning? What is so empowering about it?
Yeah, I mean, I think what I've heard from, when I've asked young people that question is that quite often they're not asked what they want. It's not being asked what their best hopes are. And that opportunity to be seen as an expert in your own life, that your views, your hopes are valued. And I've really see that physically how young people change when you ask them, so what are your hopes for our conversation? If I was to be of any use to you, what will be different afterwards? And they're like, oh, well, I take my coat off, I might stay for this conversation. You can see them physically relax, and that's what they kind of feed back, that sense of being asked what they want and really being listened to. I think it's what young people have said to me.
Yeah. And obviously being very strengths-based is highlighting the skills that they may not have noticed they had.
Yeah, absolutely. And and I do spend quite a, obviously it depends on the individual conversation, and every conversation is different, but what I notice about my work is that I do spend quite a lot of time in that, inviting them to notice their strengths and to notice how they did that, and to real opportunity to describe, because also the sense and what I hear is that they haven't been asked those questions in that way before, to be able to notice themselves and to notice their strengths and resource, no matter how small. And I think that can make a real difference to them being able to be in a position to make the changes that they want to make. And I was sort of just, again, because I'm quite visual, that sort of physical change, it's like you kind of see them, the shoulders, and it's like I would sort of think about it as they're sort of growing from the inside out, as we build up that sense of self-efficacy, and notice. And I use strength cards quite a lot to introduce some words. Sometimes I find that young people are find it difficult to articulate what they've done well, and in terms of their strengths. So sometimes a word of a prompt might enable them to start to describe it. But yes, I love that, looking for signs of, you know, of their preferred future, looking for those strengths and those resources.
So you you did this crazy thing. You gave up your job.
Yeah.
So,
and my husband had a new job at the time as well, and he was saying he was just starting a job, and he was like, "This is really bad timing, Tara."
Well, it was a wonderful decision, and Joe and I have really benefited from that.
Oh, yeah. Yes, and yeah, it's interesting because it was then that I first met John Wheeler and Naomi Whitehead and Greg Winickham, you know, solution focused trainers, because I wanted to do a course that had a certificate, you know, which was externally validated, and that would kind of give me that validity as a freelance solution focused practitioner, even though I'd had quite, you know, significant amount of training. And so I stumbled across solution focused trainers and found John and Greg, and went on to do their course, which you guys have just completed. And I did that in Sheffield, and I met Naomi Whitehead there, a really good colleague and friend. And then I was like, now I want to deliver this course. This is so good, you know. Yeah, and so that's how I came to be delivering that in Bath.
And really interested in the schoolwork, because obviously we've done some work in schools, but it's a real difficult one to persuade schools that actually you should really try this, because it's going to benefit you guys. So I'm just really interested in how you managed to get your foot in the door and kept it there and had such success from it.
Yeah, you know, in the beginning, when I was lucky in some ways that I had relationships with some of the schools, with quite a lot of the schools actually in the area. And so I kind of had a slight, you know, foot in the door in that sense. And they were used to the solution focused approach, because that's what I was doing as a social worker, and our team was known. So that was helpful. And I managed to have a couple of days a week in as a freelancer as my first sort of job in one particular school. So that was a really good starting point. But actually it was really hard at first it was at times, it was hard not to be a bit sort of despondent. Because I think, you know, I'm quite an idealist and hopeful, and I'm like, this is amazing. Well, everybody must think this is amazing. Everybody wants to be spoken to in this way and have conversations like this. But I was met with some resistance, and people that they didn't necessarily understand it, or, you know, see possibility in having these conversations. And so there were some challenging moments of trying to get into other schools, or to increase presence in the schools that I was already working in. And I think I did a lot of proposals, and not all of them were successful. But one of the things that I just did, I suppose, is just hung on in there and trusted the process, and just didn't give up. And I think one of the things I realised, you know, and actually social care and education are really different. And I don't think I'd realised that so much until I sort of made the switch. And schools are really busy. You know, they have so much to do. And actually, you know, sometimes you might kind of approach them, start the conversation, and it's not that they don't necessarily, that they don't want to be involved, but they're just really busy and they've got so much on. So one of the things I've really noticed is just not to give up, to go back. And I think that's, and finding ways to network, I suppose, you know, finding a contact within that school that I've got a good relationship with. And then if I'm in there working one-to-one with the students, that then having an opportunity to present to the heads of houses or to a staff meeting or to the senior leaders. And I think really getting in there and having a conversation about what SF is, what the solution-focused approach is, and what difference it can make in terms of outcome and possibility. I think that has been really helpful in sort of being persistent in that way, really.
And because it's solution-focused, the variety of issues that you can deal with are quite broad, aren't they? In terms of you know, the young people that you would get referred could be for any manner of problems or issues.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think that's a really good point to raise, because I think actually one of the things that I noticed in the beginning in terms of maybe perhaps resistance was that there was a view that it wasn't applicable to all, that it was maybe seen as being a positive approach. And, you know, and solution-focused approach is not about positivity. And so I think actually that was something, inviting schools to notice and individuals to notice within schools that, yes, it can be applied to any situation. And you know, that now for me, working sort of in coaching in schools or working as in a sort of therapeutic role, or whether it's behaviour, and so if there's any sort of classroom issues or attendance issues, or, you know, absolutely anything, and that it's useful for the teachers too, for them to have access to the solution-focused assumptions and the tools to be able to apply it in their everyday conversations within schools. So it's just, it's applicable in every aspect of life.
And I think sometimes individuals in any organisation, including schools, find that hard to believe, because we're not a specialist with anxiety, or not a specialist with depression, or not a specialist with school refusers, or whatever it might look like. And it's like, well, what do you mean you can cover all of them? And it's explaining that, you know, any presenting issue or challenge, you can work with it because it is client led.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's having to shift that view that you need to pathologise, you know, that you have to have detail of the problem, or that you need to know a lot more about the issue in order to work with that person or to affect change. And so, I think that kind of shift, it's having to shift from that problem focused view and that sort of analytical view. And I think that, you know, it can be challenging for people to be able to do that.
And it sounds like you weren't just working with individual young people, but that you were almost spreading the message to the staff as well. How important was that?
Yeah, I think through that sort of journey of really trying to invite schools to notice how useful and how empowering this approach is, that it was then that I kind of noticed that actually, talking to the staff, letting them know, and for it to be experiential as well, for them to experience it, and them being able to deliver training to staff, I think it was the best way. And what I've really tried to do, as I've sort of worked to understand education better, is to find a way that is right for the individual school, and for it to be bespoke, so very much about what their hopes are, and that it fits in with the way that the school works, and also that it's building on their existing strengths, you know. So I think that's a really big, because there's lots of new initiatives, isn't there? There's lots of different ideas. This is the way we're going to work, and this is the new hallelujah. And actually, there's so much that teachers and schools do well already. So I think coming from that solution-focused position about building on strength and resource, I think is more appealing and more respectful as well of schools. And and also adapting it to think about, corridor conversations, sort of how can you adapt the solution focused approach to be able to draw on a question, a tool, a question at any point. So we're not just delivering training this is sort of how we might use it in a session. It's got to be right for teachers to be able to almost instantly to be able to apply in the classroom or in the corridor. So that's something I've been really working with for it to fit schools and teachers, for it to be most accessible.
And those corridor conversations are so empowering. 30 seconds to 2 minutes is so empowering, and you can actually physically see that student walk away with their head held up high towards their next lesson, and to their maths lesson or science lesson, whatever it may be, but you can actually really, really see them. That really short conversation makes such a big difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And, and I think, that sort of noticing people, really, and seeing those strengths and resources, and sort of opening your eyes, I suppose, to that, noticing what children and young people can do, not what they can't, invites a different interaction on a day-to-day basis, in those corridors, even if it's just a chat. But when you're seeing them through the eyes of possibility and what they can do, then it just opens up so much more, and their level of engagement, and just I always find young people will say to in those situations where, if it's to do around behaviour or difficulties in the classroom, tell me about a time when these issues aren't happening. Well, such and such, Mr. Somebody. Well, what's different? Well, he's actually really strict, but he really respects me, and we have a laugh and we have a conversation. So it's about that interaction and that building relationships. And I think that when you're going from a solution focused mindset, that enables that, and people, children and young people, feel valued, and it's good for the teacher feels that too.
Yeah, and if you're having those sort of strengths-based conversations, students are probably more likely to want to talk anyway, because it's not that fear of, oh God, he's going to come and tell me off again.
Yeah. Or when you're focusing on what they can't do, it's like, what's the point? Just, I've got that reputation, I've got that label. They're going to be looking at me anyway, even if it's somebody else doing something wrong, because that's how they see me. And it's harder for them to be hopeful about themselves if other people don't have hope in them. And I think, I was just going to say, one of the things that I've noticed from some of the training that I've done recently is that really the feedback that you get from the teachers when they're trying that, when they're not defining the child or young person by their problem, or and the difference of the experience that they're having in the conversation. How that makes their lives easier, more pleasurable.
Yeah, and what's really interesting is obviously in individual sessions you're highlighting that person's strengths and looking towards the future. So you can do that with an individual, but from what I'm hearing you saying is, as each person is unique, so is every school, and you can tailor it to fit whatever challenges they're facing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's something that I've really learnt, that as in, every conversation is unique. You don't sort of plan for it. Then, I kind of will have a conversation with school and say, well, what would be your hopes? What would work well for you? And just having that real flexibility in the training model, really. And, I might go in for an hour after school, because it's the end of the day, and there's lots of extra things that they have to do. Go in for an hour and then go in, in a few weeks' time and do another hour. So in content and flexibility and how it's delivered as well, I think, is what's been working for me recently. Yeah.
So what are some of your most pleasing outcomes for the young people that you've worked with?
Well, it's hard not to kind of purely think in the present moment, what's kind of going well. And I think something that's really inspiring me and pleasing me at the moment is actually I've been delivering solution-focused training to a group of young people. And this has sort of come about through some joint work that I'm doing with an organisation called Boys in Mind, which is a really amazing charity in Bath, predominantly working with boys, but also working with girls as well. And that has a real shared sort of interest or passion about young people's voice, and young people taking the lead in what's happening, and so part of that, this school, I've trained a lot of the staff, and I work there 2 days a week as well, and then I had an opportunity to train some of the sixth form students in the solution focused approach, and just seeing them fall in love with it and their passion for it, and the difference that it's making in their conversations with themselves, with their peers, and actually particularly during this time, when they've been not going into school and been in lockdown, that they've been supporting each other with solution-focused conversations. And to sort of see their passion and to think about, wow, these guys are the next generation, and to think they're going to be taking this from school out into their adult lives, into their workplaces, into higher education, if that's what they're going to be doing. And, as they become professionals, and that the possibility that they are going to be sharing the solution focused approach in their workplaces or in higher education, and just seeing how it just makes so much sense to them, and it's so empowering for them. And so that's something that I'm really excited about at the moment, and really pleased to be a part of. And I mean, there's so many, but that's my kind of main thing at the moment. So
was the idea that these sixth formers would be like solution focused mentors for younger children in the school?
Yeah, that's it. So the school, in their work they're kind of putting together a new mental health strategy, and then their work with Boys in Mind, and my involvement too, is that they've basically trained a lot of the staff and these students, and they wear these lanyards that makes them identifiable as having had solution focused training. So then they have solution focused. Students can seek out one of these older students in the lanyards and go and have some support from them, and it will be solution focused. Which is
because I mean, I'm guessing it's the same in Bath, but there have been so many cutbacks in education, and generally the support staff that go first, the ones that would normally have these conversations. So training up sixth formers in the same school, not that they can replace staff, but it gives you that extra level of support.
Yeah, well, and what Boys in Mind have been doing is actually videos of young people talking about their experiences with dementia and talking to each other. So actually a young person sharing their experience to another young person or to a younger group of, it's, what they've said, it's more relatable, it's more accessible, and it's inspiring, and also it's made a difference where more people are able to feel confident to talk up about what's going on in their lives, because other kids are sharing it. So, and I think that really fits with the solution focused assumptions, and that these young people are experts in their own lives, and they've got a lot to share and have great wisdom, you know. So for them to benefit from each other, I think is just, it's brilliant. Yeah.
Tara, when I first joined your solution focus in education networking, I think I met two of the mentors.
Yes, yeah, you did. Yeah, I think Felix and
they were fantastic.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic.
I know, and also, you know, inviting them along to come to. So we, to set up this European in Schools network about 4 months ago, I think, and I really thought it would be great to have young people as I thought it's really important to have young people present at that, and again, their sort of willingness to be involved and what they contributed, so valuable.
I was one of the lucky ones to be in a breakout room with one of them, and absolutely amazing, the wisdom, and it was just amazing to see how in love they were with the approach and the benefits. They could see all the benefits to their own personal life and in their supporting role. And you could see how it was influencing their decisions.
Absolutely. And, you know, when I first started working on my own, you know, that is very much what I dreamt of, you know, or felt that everybody should know about this. You know, everyone should have an opportunity to learn the solution-focused approach, or to have a solution-focused conversation, because it can and does, it makes such a difference and is so empowering. So
I mean, that's what I think. What I think every SF solution-focused practitioner does share that best hope, is that everyone in education adopts this way of working, because it's far more empowering for every individual, and also as a school, as an entity, but also it's less stressful.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and teachers have said to me following training that they've gone home and tried it, you know, with their family. And actually just the difference that it's made to their conversations at home. And, you know, and I know sort of within my family as well that it's I think my parenting would be very different, I think, if I hadn't have discovered the solution-focused approach. And so I think that it's you can learn it for part of your job, and then you can take it home. You know, you can have a conversation with yourself, and it's, you know, it's not about always being solution focused, but actually if you've got that in your if you believe in it, if you've got that kind of in your mindset, then it can really help you to reframe things, to think differently in the moment about how you respond, or, you know, how you approach conversations. I think it's something that not only can be useful professionally, but to be useful personally as well. I mean, who's not going to want to do that? You know, it makes perfect sense.
Well, it is a lifestyle, isn't it? Noticing what people are doing well rather than their deficits and what brought them there in the first place is so much healthier.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
So tell me more about this network.
So, Joe, you haven't joined one yet, have you? Or have you?
Come to the next one.
No, he's going to be joining the next one.
Yeah.
But I think I noticed that a lot of your team have signed up already. Yeah. To the next.
Sorry.
No, good. Sorry. Brilliant. So Katrin Berger, solution focused practitioner in Germany, we've met. And, you know, another wonderful thing about the solution focused community is just how giving, how open it is. And I met Katrin at the World Conference, I think, in Frankfurt a few years ago, and we got talking, and both working with children and young people in schools, and like, woo, you know, so we sort of stayed connected. And when we've been at other events and conferences, we've always sort of gravitated towards each other. So we were in Florence And I mean, and you get to go to these terrible places when you go.
How dare, yeah, don't go there.
No, like, this is a very important conference. Florence.
Sounds like a real drag.
Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of a life are you leading there? We need to sort this out.
Yeah. And he's like, can I come? No, I'll be too busy. But yeah, when we were in Florence, there was sort of open space, and we did an open space for solution focused approach in education in schools. And from that, we were like, we should really set up a network, because I think there is more momentum with SF in schools. I feel a lot, like there's a lot more happening. And but like I said in the beginning, it was quite hard and quite lonely as well when you're sort of out there on your own. So the idea of a network felt like, yeah, this would be really, really useful, and to bring everybody together, so to link, to give strength to the cause, and because the SF, the community is so sharing, people just share their resources, their activities, and we can share resources and support each other. So, and then we kind of left Florence, and the idea Katrin was busy setting a network up locally, but then we got talking at the beginning of COVID and connected, and we said, it's nearly World SF Day. I think we said we were going to launch this on World SF Day. So we decided that we can do this. We can set up a Facebook group and invite people. And we had a preliminary meeting. And what was really not, it wasn't sort of surprising, but how much interest there was, and just enthusiasm. I just love it. So, and including yourselves and in that enthusiasm. So yeah, we had a first meeting, then we had sort of launched it on World SF Day, and then last month Katrin led a session. So the sort of format is people want to meet monthly, which is really great, and there's going to be a topic each month, and people will get an opportunity to share what's working, to share what they're doing in schools, and then there'll be a particular topic that people will bring, and good old Zoom that we're all getting very familiar at using. Actually, you were my first training guinea pigs for Zoom.
Yeah, we were.
And it was fine. It was fine.
But yes, now mastered the whole breakout room stuff, and so people can have discussions, and the feedback that we've had has been that it's a really useful resource, and just not surprisingly, a really lovely group of people that are just doing amazing things and have amazing hopes for their work in schools as well.
Who can join these groups, Tara?
So anybody who's kind of got a link to education or an interest in SF, and what I think would be really lovely is to have not just solution focused practitioners, so to have teachers, to have senior leaders, to have anybody in or any other organisation that has an interest in learning about SF, or building on what they're doing already, and that's why obviously I've been inviting young people to be a part of that as well. So, and the next session in July is going to be led by a group of young people. And I just, this is going to be some of these people that we've met before and that have been trained in SF, and some have had SF coaching as well. So really interested to hear from them. So, what's working? What of this is working in your school? What's happened in particular that has made SF possible? And what are we doing in your school that would be useful for other schools to do, that has had the most useful impact and has really made a difference? So to really get that feedback from them, and to find out what else can we do? What can we be doing next? So that's, so it's, think it's, well, I'm really excited by it. I think it's a really useful network that I hope that will grow and grow. And each month, you know, invite someone else to come in, and for it not to always be me and Macklin that sort of hosts it, that other people will take the lead on that. So
I mean, I'm pretty biased because I obviously we know you, Tara, so we trusted in the process anyway. But it's a fantastic platform, and I always, you know, I look forward to most networking events, but especially yours because it's right up our street as well. So how can people find the link to this Zoom networking meeting?
So there is a Facebook page which is Solution Focus in Schools, and that will have we always set it up as an Eventbrite. It's a free event, but it is set up via Eventbrite. We usually post that Eventbrite link sort of 3 or 2 weeks before the event. And yes, and yeah, I think that's, and I'm guessing that you can search on Eventbrite for school related talks, or but yeah, Facebook page is probably the best place. And also people are invited to share different things on the Facebook page. You know, if there's other events that would be useful for us to attend, and there is so much good stuff happening out there at the moment, you know, with everybody sort of accessing online workshops and training, and so anything school related that can go on there and can be shared, then we really invite that as well. And to share something, you know, that you're using that's been useful and made a difference, or a question, anything.
Yeah, I know I have been using it, and I love the resources on there. And I know Katrin put a resource on there the other day, the numbers, which we use, but only with little ones. And I think, why don't we use this with adults?
Me too, because I have the laminate. So the scaling numbers.
Yeah. Sorry, everyone. We're talking about scaling numbers, which Joe and I and the team have used with primary age children, but not once have I thought about using it with older children and adults. And so when she kind of put that on, I was like, oh yeah.
No, I'm exactly the same. Yeah.
And with SF, you do have a lot of moments. Like, why didn't I? You know, we've got this resource already. Let's utilize it. Let's expand it. Let's use it.
Yeah.
So thank you, Katrin.
Yes, thank you, Katrin. And I was also thinking that it would be really good to use in training as well.
Yeah. There you go. Another moment. Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Like you say, it would be great to have more school staff, senior leaders come on, just so they can tell us what challenges they're facing. But also, like you say, get all those resources. And what schools will love is it's free.
Yeah.
Because there are diminishing resources anyway. So it's a free event.
Yeah, and part of as a sort of result of the network, I recently got to do Katrin and I did an interview with SFIO, Solution Focus in Organisations. And so, you know, again, that sort of possibility to sort of network. And then I also did an interview with SFIO and John Brooker and the senior, one of the heads at the school, another young person, and the pastoral manager for sixth form as well. So and I think that's really exciting, as you say, to start to hear the voice of people who are working in the school, young people, but to hear from senior leaders, you know, what is it? What happened? What was different that really kind of invited them to think, this is it. This is the approach. I can believe, I believe in this, and I think this will be really useful to use across, and in this instance, across the school. So I'm hoping the network, we can invite lots of different people in to come and contribute.
I'm on it.
Great.
So those of you on my Facebook who have got anything to do with education, please do expect a link from me.
Yeah.
And please join with an open mind, because we are, those of us that have worked in schools like Joe and I know how institutionalized you can easily become, and you don't realize how institutionalized you are until you step out of it.
And I think that's the thing about how we approach schools, you know, in a way of actually respecting that too. Having to sort of and actually again building on perhaps what, you know, even though there might be things that might be more problem focused, but actually building on what's worked and noticing that, and then inviting this sort of possibility of having a different conversation. And because when you've been in education for a long time, then like you say, you can be institutionalized.
Without even realizing. I didn't realize how much I was.
So what about your training arm, Tara? You've got many hats.
Yes, So the solution focused trainers, as I said, you know, I experienced the course, and then was very, very privileged to be able to join John Wheeler and Greg and Stefan and Naomi, and it's just a wonderful team, and you know, from each of them I learned so much, you know, in terms of what they're doing in where they live, you know, because we're spread sort of all over the country, and what we sort of bring together as a training organisation. And John so empowers us to be individuals in our you know, John and Greg wrote the training program, but he really encourages us to have our individual styles, and so the course, I think, really does SF justice. You know, I've got a big thing about the solution focused assumptions and how important they are. So we, you know, that's a big part of the training, and we do a bit of the history, as you know, and I think it just gives it's a 5-day course over 3 months, so it's not a lot, but it's pretty intense, and there's lots of things to do. But
it's only for those that know me, you'd know that I hate essay writing. And obviously there's 2 essays you have to write. So each time I have to write an essay, Tara will receive slightly abusive messages. Tara! And she just does the right thing and just completely ignores me, and then just sends me a message, you can do it. And then I'm like, oh, fine. You know, I feel like my 4-year-old. Fine, I'll just do it.
Oh, well, I've absolutely loved having you guys on the course, and I was it was because I think you were going to be doing the course with Kids in London, weren't you? And then that's obviously, with all of this sort of happening, it got changed, and then we decided to put the course online, and I got to have 2 of you, which is
it was a good move.
Yes, absolutely. It's been a
privilege.
Tara,
you know all the headaches you've given us over the past. So this is our chance to get some payback. So I've asked the last few practitioners, because obviously we've heard loads of different solution focused questions, and ones that stick in our minds and we think, wow, yeah, I'm always going to use that. That's a brilliant one. So I've asked them for their top 5.
Top 5
solution focused, and it could be ones that you use in school with staff, students.
Yeah.
We want to score this stuff.
She's going to knock off points from your essay now.
Yes. You should have done this after I'd marked your essay. Well, do you know what? As I've said already, and you know, I say a lot, that the solution focused assumptions are very, very important, and to me, and obviously to the solution-focused approach. And I know this is not necessarily answering what questions, but I will get
stalling, right? Stalling.
No. Is that, and in one of the things in my schools training is when you don't get very long, and I'm like, well, what's important? What's going to be really useful for them to kind of take away from this, and what is going to enable them to ask useful questions.
Okay.
And so I think that sharing the solution-focused assumptions is really, really important. And particularly thinking about children and young people being seen as experts in their own lives. We kind of take that for granted as solution-focused practitioners, but some people don't think in that way. And that they're not defined by their problems. They are not that problem in the entirety, and that change is possible if we have that belief in hope and possibility. So I know I think that is one of my favourite things. So I know that's a question, and I will give you some of the questions in a minute, but I think that is one of my favourite things to share, because I think from that really good questions can come.
Yeah.
And I find that within education, that if you're sharing the assumptions, if they're going in to that moment, even in the corridor, have a quick conversation, if they've got those assumptions running through their veins, or if they believe in them, then what they're going to ask will be different to what they might have asked before. So that's
10 out of 10, Tara.
So yeah, and so that kind of a roundabout way of answering the question. But other questions that I love asking: what difference does that make?
Yeah.
And just getting when somebody sort of describes something, or whether it's something that's happened before, or visualizing what might happen in the future, what difference would that make? And to me, that is a really heart sort of moment. And
you do see a physical change, don't you? It's like, what difference would that make?
Yeah. And so I think that's a really, really powerful question about what difference would it make. And something I've been experimenting with recently is you guys might know this already, but is if you were to compliment yourself. So towards the sort of end of a session, if you were to compliment yourself, or what would you say? Or, what have you noticed about yourself in this conversation today that's been really useful to notice about yourself?
That's a lovely question. Yeah.
Can I just jump in and say that Grainer and I actually asked that question today? And she struggled a little bit, but she got there, and it was wonderful. And then she actually wrote it in a WhatsApp to us. It was wonderful to see. And by asking that question, it helped her fill in her student profile for her college application.
Wow.
And it's a very powerful question.
I think, particularly in my work with young people, that kind of revisiting or inviting them to revisit themselves in terms of strength and resource, to really notice those strengths, those things that they do well, that effort that they've made, and I think that sometimes they deserve, or it's useful to kind of ask that question in a few ways and to really consolidate it, really invite them to, so
brilliant. We like that. We're stealing that one, Tara.
You can have it.
That's something else that I love about solution focused practitioners. We're constantly, and it's not stealing, but we're constantly walking around with pen and paper in these networking meetings, whether it be via Zoom or face to face, and just writing down what other people have asked that were useful. And you think, I need to write that down.
Yeah.
And we're just so giving in that respect.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And, and I know that there's so much that, so many solution-focused practitioners that have inspired me and continue to inspire me and influence my practice, every day. And because the community is so giving, so loving, that actually, invites you to be able to really grow as a practitioner, because it is so generous. And I'm really grateful for that.
So are we.
Oh.
Tara, we missed the training now.
Oh, you have to come back for follow-up days.
Yes, follow-up days in Bath, hopefully.
Yes.
And hopefully we'll be travelling to Bath. But I mean, in terms of the training, we do, Joe and I really, really, really do highly recommend it. Yeah. Especially, and I know I had my reservations, but looking into the history of SF was totally inspiring. And really put things into perspective for me. And I know Joe really enjoyed it, because we had many arguments about the PowerPoint.
I say it every time, and I said it to you guys, even no matter how many times, you've got 5 people on the course and they're each doing a presentation about the history, that I learn something new every single time. And particularly with the level of detail that you both went into, it's just fascinating. And
everyone did a great job.
Yeah, it was really, really good.
Really good. So very quickly, Tara, solution revolution.
Yes.
I know what that is, but what is it for everybody else?
So that is my business name. Yeah, that's me. And so what, as you said, I do a lot of work in schools, and I also I work from home as well. I have a private practice, and the one-to-one work, the training, but something I'm also very passionate about is solution-focused group work as well. And I do a lot of group work in primary schools and inviting different practitioners like DJs and drama teachers, and just kind of having this fusion of SF and something interactive or physical. And that's kind of what solution revolution is, all of those things.
And anyone can look that up on Facebook, can't they? Because you do have a Facebook page. And Tara's website. Great. Any questions, Joe, before we close up?
I think it's been all said very, very well. We do miss you. We're going to come to Bath.
We'll come to Bath. Yes, and you're going to come and deliver a workshop in Bath as well. We've got that. And it's been brilliant to do the training on Zoom, and it's really worked. But actually, to meet in person, would be and be able to have a hug.
But thank you very much for pursuing and going ahead with the Zoom training, because we thought that's it. We're buggered. It's just not going to happen. But we were very fortunate to have you as our tutor. And I know that the rest of the team that were there, the 5 of us that were there, really, really appreciate you. And it was a little family. We formed a little family there.
Lovely. I was really fortunate to have you guys to come and do the course with me. It's a real privilege, and loved every minute of it.
So, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me to join you.
You're amazing. And Tara will actually, we haven't set a date yet, I don't think, but Tara is actually going to be doing Well, hosting an FBS chat with Jo and I, so she's going to be the one leading the chat.
What questions am I going to ask you, Jo?
You could have said
direct
that
them
before.
at Jo. No, please direct them at Jo.
Okay.
I can talk about strengths and all of that, and anything where you're trying to catch us out that goes to Jo.
Ask them all the questions about the history, maybe.
Believe it or not, even I know Jo knew that even before the training, which was what made me laugh. But even I know now.
Well, I'll be
It's embedded. It's embedded.
About your history, your journey.
Yes. So you can be positively inquisitive about our journey.
I shall look forward.
Thank you for. So we will set a date up for that. So see you guys next time on the FBS chat with another SF practitioner, which I shall reveal 48 hours beforehand. Tara, I'm going to end the chat, but please do not go anywhere.
Okay.
Is that okay? Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.